M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Betcha.
This is the Mgb Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages.
My name is Graham Bagshaw, and my co-host and creator of this podcast is proof that wrestling fans live with their parents. My 10-year-old son, Mason. Alright, so a last-minute decision. I decided to bring my laptop to England, so if we wanted to, if we had time, we could record something. Jackson's actually gone to, what has he gone to? Crossbow training or something?
And soccer right now.
And soccer. Well, we're in England, so he's gone to footy. So we've got a little bit of chance. We managed to catch up on Money in the Bank. We managed to catch up on Raw. We're going to catch up on SmackDown a little later, but as we've still got half an hour, we thought we'd put together a few views from the last few days of what we saw. All right, Mason, have you got 3 moments for Money in the Bank?
I got 3 moments, yeah.
Okay.
So my third moment is all of the contracts, men and women, is on Raw.
Oh, yeah. I remember you saying, yeah. I've not even really thought about that.
So that's a good thing for SmackDown, because now they can, Paige, she can have a heel turn or something like that and get super mad at all the superstars because they didn't bring the contracts back to SmackDown.
So they can do what was it, Shane, when they went and attacked Raw just before I always forget which one that one is, where they fight against Raw versus SmackDown.
Raw versus SmackDown, Raw is War or something? I don't even
know. No, the pay-per-view where they have is it the Champion of Champions or something? And they have the 5-man tag team against the 5-man tag team.
Oh, I thought that was Survivor Series.
Survivor Series, there you go, that one. I actually don't know if they're going to still do that one or not. I know they've been changing their pay-per-views, but yeah, they could possibly go and invade the other side again as a possible surprise.
Yeah.
Okay.
My number 2 moment is Alexa wins the Money in the Bank match, and then she cashes it in and beats Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax. But first, she hits Alexa and Nia with the briefcase multiple times, and then she cashes it in, which this time Ronda's outside the ring, and she just pins Nia Jax.
And we didn't see the whole of that match, but I heard talked about on Twitter that people, she couldn't decide who to attack first, and should she keep attacking Ronda or should she keep attacking Nia? Because you got to make sure once you cash in, you got to win. You don't want to do like Baron Corbin did last time and then totally waste it.
Yeah,
so.
That was funny on a previous SmackDown. Baron Corbin, he was like the new, he was replaced for Stephanie McMahon, and he was mad and something, and Paige was there, and she said, "Are you trying to take it out on somebody else because you didn't cash successfully when you won the Money in the Bank?" He's like Braun Strowman. He won the WrestleMania Battle Royale. Yeah. So did Braun Strowman. He won the 50-man Royal Rumble, and he won the Money in the Bank.
I think Strowman's going to cash in as a little bit better. And we might talk about that as one of the moments later as well.
Rules.
Now, one thing I did see, this was from somebody we used to go to Nova Pro with, at Heels Mahoney. He actually posted, how sensible was it to cash in straight away? Now she doesn't have to carry that briefcase through every airport. Now, as we've been in England right now, we've just gone through customs. You don't have to check in bags and things like that. And sometimes things like belts can be kind of heavy. She's only little anyway. Would you really want to carry that thing around with you the whole time? I'm sure they get somebody to carry it for her on her behalf, but I thought that was kind of a funny comment that she doesn't have to worry about it now. She just got it done straight away. And probably the best thing straight away, she got the title back. I didn't hear anyone talking about Alexa Bliss winning that match. I know we took part of a predictions league, and it was like a Sweet 16, and that was a difficult one to predict because it didn't count because it was supposed to be Nia versus Ronda, and that didn't happen. But we should mention that you actually won your match. You had the joint best record in that tournament. You won 7 and lost 2. And you're in the Elite 8, so that's something that's going to come up later as well. All right, are we on to your number 1 moment?
Yeah. My number 1 moment is Roman, he's fighting Jinder, and then he gives Superman punch to Sunil Singh, and he's gone out of his wheelchair, and then Superman punched him over his... He fell on top of his wheelchair. Flipped all over on the floor.
And I liked it as well. I put it as my number 2 moment. I thought it was fantastic. He did a great sell job on that. And that's all I put down. I put Sunil Singh, Superman punch. That was my little notes to remind me about that. But yeah, so I agree with that one. All right, well, let me skip to my number 3 moment. James Ellsworth back.
Yeah.
Now, I actually wasn't surprised by this at all. I'd heard different people talking, and the reason I wasn't surprised was there was a statement released from, I think it was China, there was a company that he was supposed to wrestle for over there, and they released something saying James Ellsworth will not be coming this Saturday and Sunday. They've been trying to contact him for multiple days, and he hadn't responded to it. And then finally, he just said, I'm unavailable. And now I don't know if we talked about it on our podcast before we left, but you actually won a competition as part of his podcast, the Durcast, at WP_pod, I think it is, the Wrestling Perspectives podcast. And you got a choice between P.D. Williams and James Ellsworth. Now, you already had a P.D. Williams, so you chose James Ellsworth, and now you got his autograph, and he was in the last pay-per-view. So I think that was pretty cool, the timing of that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to hearing a bit more about that. I don't think you've listened to that podcast, but they did release a podcast, and he did talk about the story. So that's one that you should also go and listen to if you want more on that backstory. Number 2, we already talked about. That was your number 1 moment as well. Now, my number 1 moment, I told you, this is going to come from nowhere. I didn't hear anybody talk about this at all. The thing that impressed me the most was, in the women's match, Naomi. I thought she was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought her moves were phenomenal. She put on so many... She's just so acrobatic. She has such agility. And she totally rocked that whole event. And I would have had no problems if she was back as champion. When she was first champion, I was like, I wasn't a big Naomi fan at that time. But I've been super impressed when she was champion, and I hope that she gets another chance as well. I thought she absolutely stole the show, and I didn't really hear anyone talking about it afterwards. It's kind of strange this week because we're in England, and normally when I look at Twitter, it's when things are actually happening. But with the time difference, we were sleeping when this was all happening. So it's been really weird this week watching things not necessarily at the right time and trying to pick up things often many hours after they've happened. But yeah, that was certainly my number 1 moment. I had one honourable mention. I nearly went for the Styles Clash onto the steps.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool as well. But I would agree. I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that was cool when Shinsuke was about to do a low blow, and then AJ moves.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he missed. And he sort of got a taste of his own medicine because he got that kick as well. So he got a little bit of that. All right, we just finished watching Raw a few moments ago, so go ahead, Mason. Give us your 3rd moment.
Okay, my 3rd moment is Seth. He lost to Dolph Ziggler on Raw. It would make more sense if he would have lost to Elias on Money in the Bank. Elias needs that push way more than Dolph Ziggler.
And I was kind of surprised as well. I'm a big fan of Elias. I would have been happy if he'd won. When he didn't, I was like, okay, and Seth's going to keep it for a while. And I'm okay with that because he puts it up every week. I didn't expect him to lose to Dolph Ziggler, though. I was really surprised. No. Now, they've already announced that they're going to do the rematch. He's invoked his clause already for next Monday. So what do you think about that then? Who's going to win the rematch?
I think that, I think definitely Seth.
You think he's going to get it back?
Yeah.
Now, I would hope that that's going to happen, but I don't think it is. I can't see the point of changing it just for the point of a week. It just seems such a short period. Why give it to him just to take it back the next week? So I think Dolph's going. Now, one thing I did see on Twitter that I didn't talk to you about yet. We haven't really talked about... Normally we talk about wrestling anyway. We've been on holiday this week. We've been doing other stuff. We haven't talked about it. One thing I did see on Twitter was the idea, somebody put forward the storyline, how about you keep Dolph with the title, which gets Drew sort of jealous a little bit, and then set up a match for them at some point down the line as well and break up that tag team. I like that idea as a storyline as well. I'm not quite sure. Or the other possibility is Drew could get his own title, and then they could sort of have a super faction or something like that. I don't know, but we'll see how that one goes. All right, number 2 moment.
My number 2 moment is BT. They dress up like Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy doing their creepy promos again. Like they have the lantern and all that stuff. He actually dresses up like Matt Hardy, and it really does look like him.
I thought it looked really good, and I told you before we started, because I'd seen this one on Twitter, that I said, I'm definitely picking this as one of my moments. And then I didn't, actually. I gave it my honourable mention in the end. But it was one thing I thought did look really funny, and I did really like that as well. All right, go ahead.
My number 1 moment is Ronda. She attacked Kurt Angle, Alexa, and 5 referees. And she got suspended for 30 days, which I think is good for her so she can train for 30 more days. So she is an excuse.
So she's still not even... So she had one tag team match. She got an incomplete match in the title match, and now she's got another 30 days to not do anything. Somebody already said it's like the parallels with Brock Lesnar are ridiculous right now. Both UFC champions, both never fight. She's basically the female Brock Lesnar right now. But I agree with you. It was my number 1 moments too, by a long way. She just took out absolutely everybody. I thought it was fantastic. I really like to see that. And this time when she threw Alexa through the table, it actually went through the table. The one that she did with Triple H barely made it through the table.
Yeah.
She sort of misaimed it. This one, she held her up for a long time. Admittedly, Alexa's a lot lighter than Triple H, so not that surprising, really. All right, my number 3 moment was Kurt Hawkins. He lost again. You noticed something about his shirt that he was wearing as well?
Yeah,
Do you want to talk about that?
on the top it said 0, and then it said it's 0, and it had a whole bunch of marks.
It had the tally marks that show how many losses. I know he's over 200.
202.
I think that was 202 now. Now, I put a parallel with something that you'll probably know what I'm talking about, and I'll have to explain to our listeners. It reminds me of Teddy Roosevelt right now, the racing president.
Yeah.
Now, Washington Nationals had a president's race where they have different characters dress up as presidents, and they used to race them around. And they introduced a new character, Teddy Roosevelt, and everyone loved Teddy. He never won, though.
No.
He lost, I don't know how many hundreds of events it was in a row. And it became a thing. And then in the end, people didn't want him to win. And finally, he won one in the playoffs. And the Nationals amazingly lost that series and didn't make the World Series. And I was actually at that game. I actually left early because I was so tired. I think they were up like 7-2 or something like that. And then by the time I got home, everyone was like, oh, I'm really sorry. I was like, what are you talking about? And they lost. And they called it the curse of Teddy. Now, I'm wondering the same thing with Kurt Hawkins. I'm really liking Kurt Hawkins right now. I'm not sure I want him to win, though. I want him to keep that losing streak going. Once he loses that losing streak, I don't know if he still has that novelty anymore. So I'm going to be interested. All right, how many wins do you think it's going to be before he gets a win? Or is he never going to get a win, Mason? And we didn't talk about this at all, so I'm putting you right on the spot.
Oh, this is so hard. I feel like he's going to have, like, some match with Braun Strowman and actually win. That would be, like, such a turn.
Okay, so do you want to call a number? Is he going to win it soon? Well, you can give me a time frame. You can say, like, in a week, in a month, in a year. How about that? Week, month, or year? Or not at all? We'll narrow it down a little bit.
The last match of his career.
The last match of his career. I don't know. I don't think he's winning anytime soon.
No.
I think it'll be at least 6 months. I don't think he's winning in 2018.
I watched the match in TLC, and it was the Ascension. It was Kurt Hawkins, and it was Simon Gotch and Aiden English versus Kurt Hawkins. And it was against Apollo Crews, the Hype Bros, and then it was one other team I can't remember. And then they had a match, and I obviously knew, in the Ascension and all that team, they had the upper hand for, like, the whole entire match. And I was like, Kurt Hawkins is in that team. He's obviously going to lose. And, yeah, it turned out to be that way, but still.
All right, my number 2 moment was Braun Strowman in the ring. And once Lesnar has to show up, he's going to get these hands. And I agree, that's the only thing that's going to stop Braun Strowman actually beating Lesnar. Is he actually going to turn up or not? Now, we already did my 1 because it was Ronda Rousey as well. So let's go to the top 10. Now, I did these. Normally, I do these on my laptop, and then I just read them from one. Mason and I normally sit on opposite sides of the screen. For speed this time, because we don't always watch the matches together, but we did this week. I actually put the moments on my iPod. My iPod is terrible, Mason. It has predictive text. I'm going to read you some of what it actually puts, and I'm going to have to try and interpret what they are. Because once you put in a word, if it's not a word that's in the dictionary, it changes it to an actual word. So this is going to be a little confusing for me to read. All right, my number 10 says Bream, Wyatt, and Hardy. I'm assuming that's supposed to be Bray. Actually, no, it's B-Team. I don't know what Bream even means. So it was the B-Team's impersonation of Wyatt and Hardy. So that was one of your moments. Number 9, Mojo Rawley beats No Way Jose. Number 8, I've got Roode beats Hawkins. So that's Bobby Roode beats Hawkins. Number 7, Mahal beats Gable. Number 6, the Buckle Bomb to Ziggler in that Intercontinental match. Number 5, Lashley wins with a spear. That was normally the Roman Reigns' finish. So he tagged himself in and finished like Roman, and Roman wasn't impressed with that. I'm sure there's going to be more to that story. Number 4, Sasha and Bayley got it again. Number 3, Dollar reverses and rolls up Seth.
Dolph.
That's supposed to be Dolph, yeah. Number 2, End of Days to Balor. That's supposed to be Balor. Number 1, we called it Rousey. As soon as it came on at the start, I called that as well.
I was surprised that it was like one of the first things.
It was.
And it was number 1.
And it goes against our theory of it being at the end.
Yeah.
But I said right at the start, that's definitely number 1. It had to be.
But I even said to you, it has to be Baron Corbin beating Finn Balor because that's the end of the show.
Yep. Not this time. They're starting to mix it up. I like it that they keep it as guessing a little bit. Alright, Mason, let's move on to SmackDown Live. I'm not sure how many background sounds we're going to get because we're recording when we've got people in the house, which we don't normally do. But alright, go ahead. What's your top 3 moments?
My third moment is Ellsworth. He's back on SmackDown Live. Well, he was at Money in the Bank, so but he was dressed up as Asuka's, you know how she has her robe and her mask?
Like he did in Money in the Bank. Mm-hmm.
The thing I noticed was, Asuka, she came out with no robe and no mask.
Oh.
That means she only has one robe and one mask.
But no, they did that at the... Well, unless he grabbed it or something, I don't know. In Money in the Bank,
He just
he
came
had the
out
same
in
thing.
the back.
Yeah, I think they were trying to talk to him on the Durcast. I don't know if he was hid under the ring or something like that. I don't remember what happened. So, yeah, perhaps there is only one then. I don't know. Yeah, I had that as my third moment as well, but I specifically took the point about where he took a kick for Carmella, and then Carmella, well, she had the chance capitalized and took Asuka out. So,
that's cool that I get his autograph, though.
Yep.
A WWE superstar.
Okay, second moment.
My second moment is Samoa Joe. It's the gauntlet match.
Mm-hmm.
Samoa Joe and Daniel Bryan in the ring. And Joe, he's on the outside giving Daniel the coquina clutch.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Bryan, he jumps off the barricade.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe lands on the floor and he quickly sprints into the ring and gets in at 9. And Joe, you know, he's just laying on the ground doing his thing. And then he gets right up to the apron. And the ref calls 10. And then he's eliminated.
Now, one thing I don't know about this, when I used to watch wrestling as a kid, the rule used to be, if you weren't stood by 10, that was it. It didn't matter. You could be lying down in the ring, and if you went up in 10, you were done. If you got thrown out of the ring, you had to be back inside the ring and stood up in 10. Now, I don't know if WWE is just different rules from that, and also the count was a lot quicker as well. Yeah, they get 10 seconds to get in the ring, and then they've got to be standing up as well, so they don't potentially have another 10 seconds if they needed it. Because I've started watching some of the old British ones with Jackson, because it's not so violent. And yeah, they count quick as well. If you're thrown over the top rope, you got like 10 seconds, and it's 1, 2, 3. It's not as slow as it. It's not 1, 2. It's nothing like that. So I'm kind of interested on that one.
It's
all
like
right.
way slow.
What was your number one moment?
My number one moment is Rusev. He wins with the accolade. He beats the Miz with the accolade. And AJ, he comes out, shakes Rusev's hand, and he's about to shake Aiden's, and then Aiden pulls it away. Mm-hmm. And then he
fakes him.
Yeah, and then he just attacks Aiden, and then Rusev, he's like, "What was that for?" Like he's bringing out all of Nakamura into Aiden, I guess.
And I'm not a big fan of Rusev. I don't really care whether they give him a push or not. I know the crowd love him with Rusev Day, and I'm sure somebody made the comment that he managed to make the title. Get a title chance on Rusev Day, and when he gets his match, it will be on Rusev Day. And yeah, I'm not too worried about it. All right, my number 2 moment since I already did number 3. Sanity's debut. We didn't get to see much. 3-on-2 though was a little outnumbered. I'm definitely excited to see more of those guys, and straight in against the Usos as well. So they obviously have serious plans for those guys. And my number 1 moment was also from that last one. I had the whole of the Big E versus Daniel Bryan match. I couldn't pick a single moment. I thought that could have easily just been a championship quality match just by itself. If that would have been the final match, I would have been quite happy. And like you said, we had other good matches as well in that gauntlet. But for me, that was once again, noticed I picked somebody from the New Day. I didn't even think about it until just now. I seem to pick a New Day moment each week right now. All right, the 10 moments. Number 10 was Big E's spear on Daniel Bryan. So that was one thing within that match for starters. Number 9, Jeff Hardy coming out. So you thought that was Brother Nero. I'm not sure. I didn't actually see it when it was on Impact Wrestling. I know he had a funny eye, but I don't know that face paint, so I'm not sure. We'll have to see how that develops. Number 8, Becky Lynch with a disarmer on Billie Kay. Number 7, Ellsworth took advantage. Ellsworth took the kick, and then Carmella takes advantage. Number 6, Bludgeon Brothers win again. Number 5 was Sanity's debut. Number 4, Daniel wins against Big E. Number 3, Joe fails to make the 10 count, which he had. Number 2, the Bludgeons destroy Daniel Bryan, and then Miz wins. I didn't understand that. Have I missed some of the storyline? I don't know why the Bludgeon Brothers came in.
I don't even know either.
Yeah, it seemed very random to me. I must have missed something there. And number 1, Miz, and once again, it says on here, Miz raps to Rusev. I was like, what? I don't remember. And I realized it's word correction. Miz taps to Rusev. And that was the number 1 moment in the end. All right, and I think that's it for us. Yep, we've done all our reviews. Make sure you also check out our other part of episode 18, where we weren't expecting to record anything, and that should have in the quiz, it should have our summer highlights and the answers to some of Mason's questions.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
The music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. http://creativecommons.org/licenses/py/3.0/.
M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Betcha.
This is the Mgb Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages.
My name is Graham Bagshaw, and my co-host and creator of this podcast is proof that wrestling fans live with their parents. My 10-year-old son, Mason. Now, Mason, I would normally ask you something about your week, except the problem is we're recording this 2 weeks ahead of time, so there's no way you can possibly answer this. So by the time this episode comes out, we'll certainly been in England for, I think it's about a week at this point. So we'll have travelled up, we'll have gone to see the relatives, and we'll be somewhere on the west coast of England at this point. Alright, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Mgb Wrestling Pod, and you can follow me at Mr. Bagshaw. Also, listen to the other podcasts on the Visionaries Wrestling Network, Ringside Rant on Monday, Caden Nation on Tuesday, Upstate Unplugged on Wednesday, and View from the Top Rope on Thursday. So the card for episode 18 is Match 1 is going to be birthdays of the upcoming week. Match 2 is Question and Answer with Mason. Match 3, Are You Smarter Than a Fourth Grader? Match 4, we go back to some more questions and answers with Mason. And then in Match 5, we go to Podcast of the Week. And we'll also be having our memories from summer vacations from myself, El Tigre, and Mason. In Match 1, scheduled for
1-4.
we have birthdays of the upcoming week. Alright, after some technical difficulties, Mason, who do you have for your birthdays for episode 18?
Okay, I have JJ Dillon and Billy Kay.
Alright, okay. And who's the one that you know the most about then?
JJ Dillon.
Oh, okay, alright. And I guess Billy Kay's not been up for quite so
No.
long, so I guess that would make sense. Alright, and I don't know much about JJ Dillon except for listening to his podcast and when we met him a couple of months ago. So, okay, who are you going to talk about first?
On June 26th, Tuesday, JJ Dillon turned 76.
Oh, wow.
James Morrison made his Madison Square Garden debut on April 23rd, 1984, when he challenged Tito Santana for the WWF Intercontinental Championship, but last after a flying elbow. But that's not what he's remembered for. He's remembered for being the manager of the Four Horsemen, and JJ Dillon is in the 2012 Hall of Fame class. Plus, he's on a podcast of JJ Dillon's show with Rich.
Oh, Rich, yeah. And yeah, we didn't start listening to that until, it was funny, I'm going to say, I'd not heard of JJ Dillon at all. I'm really ignorant of that era. And we saw him at MCW, and then it was funny, I came to sync up my iPod, and the first recommendation it was the JJ Dillon show. So, yeah, I started listening to that. I've come on about episode 25 now, and although this is not coming out for probably about 2 or 3 weeks, I'm probably going to get through those. I think I've got about 10 to 15 more to listen to, but they've started to shorten them a little bit now as well. The first few episodes were like 2 hours, 30 minutes, and they've started to shorten them now. So a lot of them are normally like an hour and a half. So I'm starting to get through them a little bit quicker, actually. Did you say his debut was in 1984?
His Madison Square Garden.
Oh, his Madison Square. Okay. So I know that he was also a wrestler as well, and they've been talking about that quite a bit on recent episodes. And I know he's wrestled things like a bear as well that they've talked about. And they have been talking, of course, his role behind the scenes as well. With WWE, and also obviously his role as manager of the Four Horsemen. Alright, so do you want to talk to us about Billy Kay as well then?
On Saturday, June 23rd, Billy Kay turns 29.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
I would not have guessed that she was 29. I thought she was probably about 23, 24.
Jessica McKay received a tryout for WWE during the tour of Australia in August 2014.
Mm-hmm.
In April 2015, Billy was announced as a part of the new NXT trainee class. Billy is one half of the Iconics. Her other partner, Peyton Royce, and Billy Kay made their WWE debut on April 10th, 2018.
Okay, now I don't know if you've listened to this yet. They also featured on Lillian Garcia. I know you're a little behind on podcasts.
Yeah, I listened to that one.
So I know they actually went to the same school.
Yeah.
They actually were quite competitive with each other to begin with.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing then she must be the older of the two then. But yeah, no, I'm shocked that they were 29. I guess I missed that part of it. I think you said they were like 3 or 4 years apart in school. But it just gives you some idea of how long it takes you to sort of make it to the top.
Yeah.
Or, well, if you consider WWE the top. But yeah, nearly 30 years old, and she's only just sort of come up to the main roster. Hey, this is Graham Bagshaw from the Mgb Wrestling Podcast. Now, I try to ask others to talk about if they can remember when Mason was 10, and I think I actually do remember when I was 10. When I was 10, we actually went to the Isle of Wight. We went to a Pontins holiday camp, and that came significant later in life because I actually lived on the Isle of Wight for, I think it was 6 years. It was the first place I ever worked at when I started out teaching, and yeah, lovely place, and we are actually going to go revisit again this summer because Mason was born there, and I know he'd like to go and see where he was born a little bit. Now, one of the things I do remember about the holiday camp is they had lots of sporting activities. I know I was playing tennis, football, or soccer if you prefer, and doing all those different things. And the reason also I picked this one is the connection to wrestling. I remember that my parents both went to watch the wrestling, which kind of surprises me, particularly for my mom, but not for my dad. And they actually got to see the whole setup. They got to see the guys arrive, they set up the ring. I think they had lunch beforehand. Then they did the wrestling, and then same thing afterwards. They took the ring apart. And yeah, they packed up their stuff. And you can see that the kayfabe moment was definitely broken. All the guys were really friendly with each other. But then as soon as, of course, they put the show on, then they were all business. And same afterwards, they were all friendly. And I think my dad said they went for a beer together afterwards. And I guess that might have been one of the moments when I realised probably that wrestling wasn't real. At that point, as far as I was concerned, I think it probably was real. And I don't remember all this because I think I was out there doing something else. I'm sure I was doing some sort of tournament or something else. So that's one of my moments from wrestling, and relevant because it was around Mason's age, and also relevant because Mason's also going back to the Isle of Wight this summer. Alright, so it's about a month until we're going to be on our break in England, Mason, but I asked for people to send in suggestions of questions for you to answer, because we've not really had a chance to do that on our show. Obviously, I get to ask you questions whenever I like, but I threw it out to the audience to see what they want to do. And we actually got quite a few, so much so that we're actually going to split this up into 3 parts, which is good because that's probably how many episodes that we're going to need, okay? All right, now one of the problems I'm going to have with this is when I'm telling you who's asking the question because they constantly change their name. So for starters, I can see on here I got Paul Tolley. Yeah. Now, since I wrote that down, he's been Tolly Parton. And I think today it's actually the leader of the Tollygons. So I'm going to go with what their name is, generally what their name is, and hopefully we can figure out who these people actually are when I ask you the question, okay? All right, the first question is from the Matt Attack UK. What's the first match that you remember seeing? Now, I guess we should split it into 2. What's the first one that you remember seeing on television? And then what's the one that you most remember seeing first in person, live, I guess?
The first one, I remember... I don't really remember it that well, really. I remember I'm seeing the New Day, and I'm seeing AJ Styles, and I'm remembering AJ Styles just beating up Kofi Kingston in the back. That's all I really remember.
Now I'm trying to remember because AJ Styles hadn't joined WWE when we started watching either.
Oh.
Because he came in a little bit later, I think. Because I remember at the time everyone was really excited about. Oh look, AJ's here. I had no idea who AJ Styles was at that point. I didn't follow New Japan, and I certainly didn't follow him. He was on Impact, I think I heard somebody say, for like 10 years, and I don't think I watched Impact at that point, so I didn't really know that. So that's the first one you remember from television, then.
Yes.
Okay?
That's
all right. What about the first one that you remember live? Now I know the first one we went to was just a house show in DC, and then I know we also went to I think it was Battleground in DC as well. All right. What's the first match that you can remember going live?
Oh.
Or the first wrestler you can remember seeing live?
I remember the first wrestler I ever saw was Kane.
And I was trying to think back as well. Kane was one of the ones that I thought of straight away. And actually also, I seem to remember the Dudley Boys as well, because I was kind of excited by that as well. But yes, Kane I remember. And I actually looked through those pictures recently, and you can see the terrible quality, but you can see the fire, and you can see he's there. I'm trying to remember. I know Big Show was there as well.
Yeah, Big Show was there. I thought Kalisto might have been there.
Kalisto was definitely there, and so was Sin Cara, because we didn't know the Lucha Dragons at that point, but we were doing the Lucha. So we were doing
I
that
remember
one
we
as well.
were pretty close, too.
We did. We weren't too bad. I got pretty reasonable seats for that one. Now, I was wondering, actually, if you could remember further back, because I know Jackson also started listening to or watching The Big Daddy. I don't remember if you remember watching that when you were very little.
No, that was way too
I'm trying to remember. You're probably only about 4 or 5, pretty much like he was when I showed you those, because there's no real wrestling in those at all. He just bounces off their belly and he does a splash, and it's not really fighting, but I wasn't sure if you could remember that at all. So, yeah, that's probably why then, yeah. So, after that,
probably WWE was the first thing we started watching, so that probably fit in. All right, second question. This is from Magnets and Steel. What got you interested in wrestling?
What got me interested in wrestling? I think it was you, actually.
Probably.
Yeah.
It would probably make sense that it was me. And I can't remember exactly what happened. If I'd started watching it again, and then actually, you know what? I do remember what happened. I was watching, and I think I got them from. I want to say I got them from the library, or no, I got them from Netflix. They had sort of a summary of the year, and it was like a 3-hour thing, and it was the summary of, and I'm trying to work out what years it would be. It would probably have been 2015, and it might have been 2014, and I had no idea who Daniel Bryan was at that time, and I started watching. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. And I seem to remember it might have gone back as far as CM Punk as well, and I didn't know who that was at the time. And I think that sort of relit a fire in me a little bit. And then I think, I started watching. I think I started watching on TV again, and that's when I started introducing you to it as well. So yeah, it probably was me. That would make sense. I'm trying to think if you did any reading of stuff before like that. I don't think you'd have read any of the books.
I knew like John Cena.
Of course, yeah. And what about friends at school? Do they talk about? Do you remember if they used to talk about wrestling? Probably it's early because you'd only been in second grade.
It was way too early for them watching wrestling too.
All right, next question. Paul Tolley asks, "What do you like about England that you don't get in the US?" Now, that might be a tough one because you've only been once and you were 4.5. So I guess it'll be things that you've seen on television possibly. So what things are you looking? I guess what things we can ask are you looking forward to about England as well that you can't get in the US?
But, like, I'm looking forward to Butlins, but it's like Disneyland and all that stuff, so you can't get it here, but... What am I... Oh...
But yeah, you're right. You certainly have, like, entertainment parks and holiday parks there. That is a tough one. I think what he's really asking you is what foods. If I know Paul Tolley, and I know from the 5 Nerds Go, that's probably what he's asking.
What foods?
Probably. And he actually asked a question on food in a little bit, but that would be... So, off the top of my head, I'm gonna answer one thing straight away. I like things like Walker's Crisps. For me, that would be one that I really like. And
it's
Polos.
The Wrigley ones that we had. I can't remember them.
The Wrigley ones?
Yeah, the ones with the...
Oh, you're talking about crisps?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking... Oh, the Real McCoys. I think
that's
the
McCoys.
Or McCoys. I think Real McCoys was a band. I think I'm getting those confused. But yeah, they are really good.
Yeah.
That's definitely one thing that I like. I know one other thing that you like as well. Penguins.
Yes, Penguins.
So we're talking about a chocolate bar. We're not talking about the hockey team or anything like that. But yeah, Penguins. I actually order those on Amazon and bring those across periodically. And actually, we found them.
Sauce.
Oh, mint sauce. That's a good one. You can get it here, but it's so expensive. That last jar we bought from Wegmans was like $7. The one I got from the British store was like $3. So yeah, no, mint sauce that was a good one. I hadn't even thought about that one. I was just about to say Penguins you can actually get from our local store now as well, because I got some for my birthday. And for me as well, Jaffa Cakes would be one. Now, there's a few little things like that. Oh, pot noodle. That would be one for me as well. I know that's not a big one for you.
What up, guys? It's your boy Brad, a.k.a. El Tigre, from the Take the Bump podcast. And I remember spending my summers in Panama City Beach, Florida, home of the world's most beautiful beaches, with my family, and watching the 4th of July fireworks over the bay.
Alright, so this week we're going to slightly change the Are You Smarter Than a 4th Grader? We're going to make it a time challenge. Okay, so I'm going to give you, rather than giving you 10 questions, I'm going to give you the first question, and then you've got to give me 10 answers as quickly as possible. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is, and we can decide how we're going to do this. I'll accept 2 different types of answers. It's going to be 2 with letters. So if it's John Cena, if you want to say John Cena, I'm going to class that as the letter J. If you just say Cena, I'm going to accept it as the letter C. Okay? So you can work this however you want. And you're going to go for 10 wrestlers. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Once you say you're a wrestler that begins with J, then that would be the 10th one. Probably John Cena. I wish I hadn't picked John Cena as my example now anyway. Show how much foresight I gave to it. So you've got to start with A, okay? I'm not accepting tag teams though, okay? So it's got to be singles wrestlers, okay? So when you say your first one for A, I'm going to start it on the timer.
Probably don't even know who it is.
Yeah.
Okay, Albert.
I know who Albert is, okay?
Braun Strowman.
Yep.
Cena.
Yep. Oh, we should have allowed one pass in the middle, perhaps, or something. I might be editing this down because there's a lot of dead air right now. We're on D, by the way, in case you've forgotten.
Dick Justice.
There you go. E.
Elijah.
Isn't that like Elijah Drake or something?
I don't know.
I don't know. Or did you mean Elias? There you go. All right, F. This might be our longest round ever. Flair, there you go. G.
Goat.
Who?
Goat.
Goat?
Bobby Orlando.
All right, go ahead. Well, this is going on so long anyway. Yeah, H.
Hillbilly Jim.
Yep, I.
Um.
I think she was a Hall of Fame inductee this year. Oh, you didn't watch that though, did you? That was me.
I give up.
We got a lot of material. He's passing on
Ivory.
Ivory, there you go. That's who I was thinking.
John Cena.
John Cena. All right, we're going to stop. 1 minute and 45
Can we redo
seconds.
that one?
No, we said we need a lot of material. You just helped us immensely with that. That's going to fill a lot of time. And we'll see how everybody else can do in comparison, and then they can post
That
their
was
times,
too much
but...
embarrassment. As soon as I stopped on D, I couldn't do it.
D was about a minute. If we'd have taken D out, that would have made...
I couldn't have done it anymore after D.
E, you even talked about Elias in one of your questions, and then you couldn't think of anybody who began
I
with
don't
D.
even know who I picked for D.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Dig Justice.
Dig Justice in the end, yeah. And I was thinking of female wrestlers. I was thinking of Tennille Dashwood. I would have gone with Dashwood. That was the first one that came into my head. I'm sure there's better answers than that one as well. But no, that was really entertaining, Mason. No, that was really good.
So the first one I'm going to talk about is Cincinnati. I remember going to a Reds game, which is an MLB team, baseball, and I remember somebody hit a foul ball, and then the kid that collects the foul balls, he got it and threw it into the fans, which I remember it was a super hot day, and we went to the other side of the outfield, and we sat super far back in the shade. And I remember Billy Hamilton, he was on the side of the field that we were in, and then he's just lightning quick, and then he sprinted and he caught an amazing catch. I remember that. And then we traveled to Detroit in a little bit, and I remember the Red Wings Stadium was being built then, which was Little Caesars Arena. And I remember the Tigers game. I don't really remember much about the Tigers game itself, but I remember I got a picture with the mascot, and they have a cool entrance. I remember I got a few pictures with the entrance where they go into the arena, and I remember the merry-go-round. I don't know why, it was just a weird thing to remember. I remember I went on the merry-go-round.
Alright, next one. What do you miss from the US that you can't get while visiting the UK? So while we're listening to this, you'll have already been in the UK for about a week. So what things are you going to miss about America while you're in the UK? That's a good one.
WWE.
That's probably true. Cause
Yeah,
I don't
doing
think
the podcast.
I don't think we're going to be able to do
and
that.
all that stuff. Like,
I'm probably going to take my computer with me, but we won't have anything to watch, so we're not going to be able to review
yeah,
anything.
like, I really like doing this. Like, that's one of the things I really look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And podcast is definitely one of them.
So you do realise, though, of course, when we come back, we're going to have 3 weeks of shows that we can watch and review them. So
Yeah.
we might have our first episode back, could be our longest episode. Now, I'm trying to remember, I think we fly back on a Wednesday. I think we arrive on Wednesday, and it's going to be like Wednesday afternoon, but we're going to be very tired. Potentially on the Thursday, we could watch 3 weeks worth of stuff, and then record. Although whether I'll be able to edit that in time, I don't know. We might have to split it up into a couple. Perhaps do 2 weeks one, and then 2 weeks the following week, and then we're back up to date again. So you'll definitely have a chance to do podcasts. All right, Dave Pozevsky asks, have you seen British-style wrestling? And if you have, what do you think of it? Do you like it? And any favourite matches? So I'm going to guess then from that previous question then, probably not then. You don't really remember, unless you've seen these since.
I've seen a little clip, like a 20-second clip of Cornish wrestling.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they're like big guys wrestling on the grass.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's pretty different.
It's very different.
You can't jump off the top rope. You can't go off the ropes.
Yep.
There's nothing. It's just grass.
And that's actually something, we're actually going to be visiting Cornwall, and it's something I started to follow a couple of people on Twitter about that. So I thought that was something that if we can go to see a match, I'm not sure if we can, I thought that's something that we could actually review as an outside match. So
yeah,
that's something I'm definitely looking into as well. I don't think most people in Britain would even know what Cornish wrestling is. I'd never heard of it, and I would consider myself a wrestling fan. What about any British wrestlers on WWE that you like then?
Oh, I like William Regal.
Mm-hmm. I think William Regal's. He was a big star, what I would consider a big star, when I first came to America. And, yes, Besmirch Me was a big thing, and I know you know about Chris Jericho and his tea. So, yeah, what about some more current members of the roster? Any British ones from that?
I know there's King Barrett, and there's
Wade
the
Barrett.
British Bulldogs. I can't think of any current ones.
And I'm not trying to put names in. I'm not trying to lead for you, but I was thinking people like, and I'm not sure actually which side of Ireland Becky Lynch
Paige.
is from as well. Paige would be one as well.
Ireland.
She is. I'm not sure if she's
So is,
Northern Ireland or
Sheamus.
Southern Ireland. I'm not sure which one she's from, which would determine whether they're British or not.
Yeah, Sheamus,
And
Hornswoggle.
we've seen a few other ones as well. We haven't seen many matches, but I'm thinking of people like Will Ospreay.
Oh, yeah.
One of you call
Will
Oprah
Ospreay.
Winfrey.
Yeah.
I think he's British as well. So there's a few that we've seen like a little bit.
Magnum?
From, but
He's on Impact.
but we don't know too much. So okay, all right. Magnus and Steele ask, is there any foods that you'll miss on your trip to England? This one's a very food-heavy one. I think once Magnus and Steele and Paul Tully get together, then you know there's going to be trouble on these questions.
Oh, a food that I'm gonna
Food
miss?
that you're going to miss. Something you eat over here that you can't really get in England.
Can we get burgers over there?
You can definitely get burgers. They have McDonald's over there. They're not as common over there, but you can certainly get that. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I really don't know what.
I can't really think of anything. The one that used to be true, because obviously I've moved from England to the US a few times now. I used to miss Mexican food when I was in England. But you can actually get Mexican food fairly readily available now. Where we used to live in England, they actually had a Mexican restaurant, and even where Granny lives as well, they have a Mexican buffet now as well. So yeah, I can't think of.
Chinese places?
They have Chinese food as well. It's a lot more expensive though. So yeah, I think pretty much everything. I don't think there is going to be anything I'm particularly going to miss. Okay, so I think the answer to that one is no. And the last question from this section from Magnus and Steele was, what's your favourite proper football team? So do you know first of all what he means by proper?
Yeah, soccer.
Correct. Okay, so we're talking, I'm guessing English Premier League is what I'm guessing.
I like Liverpool. Yeah.
And me too, and I probably influenced you on that one as well. I think that's okay. Any other teams from around the world? Like, I don't know. I know there's a lot of Spanish football teams that people like in this country as well. Or MLS teams, anything like that?
I like LA Galaxy.
Okay.
They're pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching the Columbus Crew on the TV, but I don't think it was for very long.
No, we were going to go to a game and it was too expensive.
Yeah, DC United too.
Now, just at the time of recording, actually, it's just been announced. I don't think I told you this. DC United have actually signed an English soccer player. I don't think I told you this, did I?
David?
No.
Oh.
He played for England. He's a striker. He used to play for Manchester United. You thought he was Batman's real name.
Oh, Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney. When you were younger, you actually got Bruce Wayne and Wayne Rooney mixed up a little bit. But yeah, Wayne Rooney's actually going to move to DC United.
Oh.
And they opened their new stadium. I think it's coming up, actually. It's opening. This is going to get released in June. I believe the new stadium opens around July 14th. We'll be back in time. I would like to go see the new stadium. Audi Field, I think it's called. But we'll have to see in regards to that one.
the old one down,
I don't think they're going to knock it down. Well, they're still planning what they're going to do with that one. RFK Stadium?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're going to do. I know they're looking to develop whatever that means. Okay, podcast of the week. Now, I'm actually recording this while Mason is out because I know that he doesn't have any podcasts to recommend this far in the future. I've been saving a few up so I could actually use them for when we're away on the summer. So for episode 18, I'm picking the Big Gold Belt podcast. Now, I actually originally featured them in episode 1. When originally I was doing a head-to-head, I mentioned 2 podcasts that I liked, and then I picked the one that I thought was the best. And I thought it was probably time I actually returned to these guys because they do put out some quality material. Now, they're described on their iTunes page as a weekly updated pro wrestling podcast, including interviews, previews, reviews, and debates to all the latest and hottest pro wrestling topics and rumors. Check out our YouTube channel for updates for live episodes in which you can be a part of, and be sure to subscribe. Now, they have all 5-star ratings, and one of the quotes from them says, "An entertaining and awesome show. You won't be disappointed. Can't wait to hear more." Now, I didn't pick out a specific moment from this one, because there's actually several ones that I think are kind of good. Now, the ones I like in particular are the episode ones. Now, they do their regular show where they review WWE and things like that, but the interviews are the specific ones I want to talk about because they're from Nova Pro, and that's part of the thing that we like to go to, and we like to do our separate podcast for that too. So, recently they featured Nick Aldis, Isaiah Frazier, Coach Gator, Mikey Banker, The Savage Gentleman, and Lady Frost, and that was just within a 1-month period, and that was from early May until early June. They've also, if you go back into the back catalogue, they've got people like Gunnar Miller, Logan Easton-Lareau, Faye Jackson, John Kerman, and Jordan Grace. So for me in particular, being a big fan of Nova Pro, they've got some of the really big names there who they managed to interview. They don't always give them specific episode numbers, so you've actually got to go back and look if you want to find any of those, to find those exactly. But that's my podcast of the week for episode 18.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
The music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0, http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/.